My parents bought my younger sister a luxury condo and handed me the mortgage. When I said no, they sued me for $250,000 just for raising me. They thought they'd scare me into paying. Instead, court exposed everything, and their lives started to collapse. Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm going to tell you a story that still makes people's hair stand on end when they hear it. Picture this: New Year's Eve, big family dinner, champagne flowing, everyone laughing. My parents stand up, raise a glass, and announce they've bought my younger sister a beautiful 2-bedroom condo in a nice complex. Then they hand me a folder, the mortgage, on that same condo. If you really love your sister, they say, you'll take over the payments. I said no. A month later, my parents did something I never imagined they were capable of. Ready? Here we go. I'm 32, and I honestly thought this New Year's Eve would be like every other. Same old apartment my parents have rented forever on the edge of Chicago. Same faded tinsel from the 90s. Same family drama over potato salad. God, was I wrong. But let me introduce the cast of this little play first. My parents are Linda and Frank Harris. Mom is 58, Dad is 61. They've been married 35 years and still live in the same tired 3-bedroom apartment on the far side of Chicago where I grew up. I've got a younger sister, Kayla. She's 27, but the way my parents treat her, you'd think she's 5. She has a boyfriend, Connor. They've been together 2 years. He's fine. A little too eager to lick my parents' boots, but that's what works in our family, so who am I to judge? It's always been like that. Kayla is our golden girl, our smart girl, our sweet girl. You'd think she cured cancer in a small town, the way they talk about her. In high school, I wanted to join a theater group. Mom just spread her hands. There's no money, honey. Sorry. 3 years later, Kayla wanted dance classes, and suddenly there was money for lessons, costumes, travel for competitions. Miraculously, senior year, I studied like crazy to get a scholarship so I could afford college. I did. Meanwhile, my parents paid Kayla's full tuition without blinking, plus her spending money. Textbooks, apartment, trips. No problem. Over the years, I got used to it. That's just how it was set up in our family. Kayla was the princess who needed to be pampered. I was the independent workhorse who would feed herself somehow. On December 31st, I drove over to my parents' place. The whole clan was already there. Uncle Dave and Aunt Nancy, Cousin Stan with his wife Olivia, and of course Grandma Helen, because nothing in our family happens without Grandma Helen. Everyone had already had a few drinks and was talking over each other. Standard Harris holiday. Erin! Mom grabbed me in the hallway. How's work, honey? It's good, Mom. Really good, actually. I work in marketing at a big tech company. I make decent money, I rent a 1-bedroom not far from the office, and I've been saving every dollar I can for my own place. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Mom said, already looking past me toward the door, obviously waiting for Kayla. I went to the kitchen to help chop salad and listen to Grandma complain about how young people are nowadays. That's when I noticed something weird. My parents kept exchanging secretive glances and smiling like they were in on some private joke. When Kayla and Connor finally arrived, they almost started buzzing, whispering, fussing, shushing each other. Kayla was different too, glowing like a polished trophy, giggling, hanging off Connor's arm. Kayla, what's got you so happy? I asked. Oh, nothing. I'm just in a great mood. She beamed at me. Tonight is going to be insane. You'll see. I shrugged. Maybe Connor was finally going to propose. By 7, everyone was at the table. Mom had brought out the fancy dishes she usually just let sit in the cabinet and collect dust. Dad was carving the chicken. Uncle Dave told the same fishing stories as every year. Grandma Helen listed all the ways her joints were failing. Just another Harris holiday. Or so I thought. I was halfway through my salad when Mom suddenly stood up and tapped her fork against her glass. "Attention, everyone! Can I have a moment?" she said. The table went quiet. Even Grandma paused in the middle of a story about her back. "Tonight is very special," Mom said, voice trembling with excitement. "Your father and I have been working on a surprise for months." Dad stood up beside her, grinning so wide you could practically see his molars. "We bought our Kayla a beautiful 2-bedroom condo," he announced, "in Maple Heights Residences." The whole table exploded. Uncle Dave started clapping. Aunt Nancy gasped. Stan and Olivia whooped. Even Grandma broke into a huge smile. "Oh my God! Really?" Kayla jumped up, but there wasn't a trace of real surprise in her voice. She knew. She knew the whole time. "Yes, sweetheart, it's completely yours," Mom said, already tearing up. "Your very own place." I sat there with my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. Stunned. A condo. They bought her a condo. A whole freaking condo. "The closing's next week," Dad added. "Great neighborhood, everything nearby, a view of the park." Everybody talked at once, asking questions, offering congratulations. Kayla was showing photos on her phone. Clearly she'd already toured the place, maybe more than once. "It's like a dream," she gushed, hugging our parents. "Connor and I were just saying we're outgrowing our little place." "Well, you two are going to need more room soon," Dad winked. "The wedding's practically around the corner." More cheers, more toasts. Kayla glowed like the Christmas tree we still hadn't taken down in the corner. Connor kept shaking Dad's hand, clapping him on the shoulder. Everyone behaved like this was the best thing that had ever happened to our family. I clapped too. My hands just didn't seem to want to cooperate. They bought her a condo. I've been saving for years, counting every dollar, cutting everything extra, trying to get my own place. And they just handed her one. On a silver platter. "Right, Aaron?" Mom turned to me. "Isn't it wonderful?" "Yeah. Great," I managed. "Congrats, Kayla. Really." Kayla rushed over and hugged me. "I'm so happy. I'm going to throw the best housewarming party. You'll freak out when you see it. You're all coming, right? I'm inviting everyone as soon as we get the furniture in." Everyone toasted Kayla's happiness again. And I realized some things just never change. Kayla would always be the favorite. I was just the background. Furniture. After dinner, everybody drifted off. The guys parked themselves in front of the TV to watch some concert. The women crowded around Kayla's phone, devouring every shot of the condo. The kids ran around high on sugar and new toys. I helped Mom with the dishes, trying to keep a neutral face. "That condo really is nice," I said, loading plates into the dishwasher. "It is, right?" Mom practically glowed. "We looked at so many places, but this one? It's the best. Kayla is going to love it there." I nodded and kept scrubbing. What was I supposed to say? About an hour later, I was sitting with Grandma Helen, listening to her catalog her new blood pressure meds, when Mom walked up. "Aaron, can you help me in the kitchen for a minute?" "Sure." I figured she needed help with dessert or something. But when I walked into the kitchen, Dad was already there, standing by the counter with a folder in his hands. They both looked serious, not excited, not proud. Serious. "What's going on?" I asked, suddenly on edge. Dad held out the folder. "This is for you." I opened it. A thick stack of papers. Loan agreements, bank forms, payment schedules. "What is this?" I flipped through, confused. "These are the mortgage documents for Kayla's condo," Mom said calmly. I stared at them. "Okay. And why are you showing them to me?" Mom shrugged like it was obvious. "We had enough for the down payment, but we need you to handle the rest." "Wait." I set the folder on the table. "You want me to pay the mortgage on Kayla's condo?" They nodded in unison. like they were explaining the weather. "You have savings," Mom added. "You said so. And you have a good salary. This isn't a big deal for you." "That's how you can show you love your sister," Dad said. "We raised you to help family." For a second, I honestly thought I'd slipped into some parallel dimension. "I do have savings," I said slowly, "because I'm saving for my own place. I was planning to buy next year." "Erin, please." Mom folded her hands like she was praying. "We're a family. We have to support each other." I shook my head. "No, I'm not paying someone else's mortgage. I've worked like a mule for that money. I'm going to buy my home, not sponsor my sister's." Dad's face darkened in an instant. "You don't even need a condo," he snapped. "You're 32 and still alone. No husband, no kids. You're going to end up an old maid. Who's going to need you?" The words hit like a physical slap. I just stared at him. "Kayla is young and beautiful," he went on. "She has Connor. She has a future. She deserves that condo more." I looked from him to Mom, hoping she'd say something in my defense. She stared at the floor. "I am not paying Kayla's mortgage," I said, every word clipped. "Selfish," Dad spat. I grabbed my coat and my bag. "Erin, where are you going?" Kayla stuck her head out of the living room, all glowing and happy with her free condo that I was apparently supposed to finance. "I don't feel well. I'm going home." I walked out without saying goodbye. Behind me, I could hear my parents saying something to the guests, probably explaining why I'd acted out. The drive home was a blur. Dad's words kept looping in my head. Old maid, no husband, no kids. Like my entire life was worthless because I wasn't married. I parked near my building and just sat there. It was quiet in the courtyard. Everyone else was celebrating with their families. Upstairs, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat on my couch, and cried. That's how I met the new year, alone on the couch, thinking about all the ways my parents had always treated me and Kayla differently. It had been like this since we were kids, thousands of little moments proving Kayla mattered more. Nothing had changed. January 1st, in the morning, my phone rang. Mom. For a second, I actually thought, maybe they're calling to apologize. Erin, we need to talk. Her voice could have cut glass. You made a scene in front of the whole family last night. We had to tell everyone you got sick. Are you serious right now? Tomorrow I'm bringing the documents over, she said. You'll sign them, and the payments will start this month. Mom, I told you, I'm not paying Kayla's mortgage. You will, she snapped. A sister helps her sister. No, I said, slow and clear. I will never pay for someone else's condo. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I didn't answer. Then again, and again. I turned the sound off. Then the texts started. Dad wrote about family duty. Mom wrote about how disappointed she was in me. I ignored all of it. The next day, Kayla called. Erin, I know everything, she started without even saying hello. How can you be so cruel? Cruel. My condo is more important than your plans. You'll save up again. You always do. I almost laughed. Kayla, do you even understand what you're asking? You want me to pay your mortgage for years because, what, you're the favorite? If you really love me, she said, you'll help. Or are you not family anymore? And what have you ever done for me? I asked. That's not the point. I need help, and look how you're acting. I hung up and immediately blocked every number. Mom's, Dad's, Kayla's. Enough. For the first time in years, I could actually breathe. A whole month passed in silence. No calls, no messages, no drama. I went to work, came home, watched shows, lived an actual normal life. I even started scrolling through listings again, checking out condos in new developments, planning, daydreaming about my own place. I thought, maybe they finally got it. Maybe they found another way. Maybe they decided to sell Kayla's condo. How naive. One Tuesday morning in February, I was getting ready for work. Shower, coffee, morning news humming in the background. Totally ordinary. Then someone buzzed downstairs.
"Registered mail,"
the mailman yelled. Nothing unusual. He always brings our building's mail on Tuesdays. But when I opened my box, tucked between utility bills and junk flyers was an official-looking envelope with a delivery receipt attached. The return address made my stomach drop. Law and Shield Attorneys. My hands shook as I opened it. Heavy paper, watermarks, seals, signatures, and the text. "Dear Ms. Erin Harris," it began. "Our firm represents the interests of Frank and Linda Harris in a matter regarding reimbursement of expenses for the support and upbringing of a child." Expenses for upbringing? What kind of nonsense? I read on. My parents were suing me for $250,000, $250,000, for raising me from birth to 18. I had to sit down right there in the hallway. This was insane. Completely insane. Parents don't get to bill their kids for raising them, do they? But there it was in black and white. They were demanding compensation for food, clothing, housing, medical bills, education, and, my favorite part, emotional support and parental care. They claimed I owed them because I refused to help my family in a difficult time, despite their years of sacrifice. I read the letter 3 times, trying to process. Of course, this was all about that damn mortgage. They were trying to scare me into paying for Kayla's condo. My first instinct was to storm over there, shake them until teeth rattled, scream that they'd lost their minds and that this was not how you treat your own kid. Then it hit me. That was exactly what they wanted. They wanted me panicking, begging them to withdraw the lawsuit in exchange for covering the payments. Absolutely not. I called Jason. We'd gone to college together. Now he was an attorney. "Jason, it's Erin. I need your help. Like yesterday." "Hey, what's going on?" "My parents are suing me for $250,000, I said, "for raising me." I told him everything. New Year's Eve, the condo, the documents, all of it. He listened quietly. "Erin," he said finally, "this is insane. This isn't a thing." "Well, they filed the suit. Is it even legal to demand money from your kid for raising you?" "They can try, but it's doomed. Parents are legally required to support their minor children under state law. They don't get to send an invoice 18 years later," he said. "But we can't ignore this. You have to respond properly. No missing court dates." "So what do I do?" "Bring me everything," Jason said. "The letter, any messages, all of it. I'll file a response, we'll show up, and this will be over faster than your mom can say, 'family duty.'" After we hung up, I felt a little calmer. The shock didn't go away, though. My own parents had dragged me into court over a condo for Kayla. This wasn't even funny anymore. 2 months later, we were in court. I walked into the Cook County Courthouse nervous but determined. Jason walked beside me, briefcase full of documents in hand. My parents were already seated at their table with their lawyer, a skinny guy in an expensive suit and a permanent sour expression. Kayla sat in the back row, drilling holes through me with her glare. "All rise. Court is now in session," the bailiff called. Our case was assigned to Judge Margaret Ann, a woman in her 50s with a sharp suit, glasses, and the kind of eyes that see right through you. "Case of Frank and Linda Harris versus Erin Harris," she read. "The plaintiffs demand from the defendant $250,000 in compensation for expenses related to raising her." Their attorney, Mr. Caldwell, stood up. "Your Honor, my client supported the defendant for 18 years. he began. They provided housing, food, clothing, education. They believe it is only fair to receive compensation, especially given the defendant's refusal to help her family financially now. The judge raised an eyebrow. Mr. Caldwell, are you seriously suggesting that parents can send their children a bill for doing what the law already requires them to do?
Well, Your Honor,
He tried again.
the defendant has shown blatant ingratitude.
That's not what I asked. She cut him off. I asked whether you believe parents have the legal right to demand payment from their children for raising them. He faltered.
Technically, no, but
Then why are we here? She asked dryly. Jason stood.
Your Honor, under our state's family law, parents are obligated to support their minor children,
He said.
They can't retroactively demand reimbursement for food, rent, or emotional support. This lawsuit is a bad faith attempt to pressure my client into paying the mortgage on her sister's condo.
He handed over a bundle of documents.
Here you'll find bank statements and transfers for the past few years. You'll see that the plaintiffs have consistently supported their younger daughter financially, college tuition, vacations, help with rent, while offering nothing comparable to my client, who paid her own way through school and has been supporting herself since 18.
The judge paged through the file, expression hardening. So, she said to my parents, you paid for Kayla's college, her living expenses, and helped with her housing. Mom bristled. She's our baby. Of course we helped her.
And you,
the judge nodded toward me,
got a scholarship,
worked through school, and paid for everything yourself. I nodded. Yes, Your Honor.
And now,
the judge continued, looking back at my parents,
you want the daughter you didn't support to repay you $250,000, while the daughter you did support pays nothing. Did I get that right?
That's not, Dad started.
It's not like that.
How is it then? She asked calmly. He didn't seem to have an answer. The judge flipped back to the front page of the complaint. This case is dismissed, she said. Frank and Linda Harris, you will pay all court costs and both parties' attorney fees. Parents cannot demand compensation from their children for fulfilling their parental obligations. This lawsuit is unfounded and abusive. Her gavel came down. It was over. My parents sat like they'd been hit by a truck. Kayla was sniffling in the back row. Their lawyer was already stuffing papers into his briefcase, clearly dying to get out of there. I felt relief and grief tangled together in my chest. It was finished. But at what cost? Consequences came fast. Gossip in our neighborhood spreads faster than a grease fire. Uncle Dave called the very next day.
Aaron, I'm in shock,
he said.
Is it true Frank and Linda took you to court?
For raising me, yeah, I said. They wanted $250,000.
They've lost their damn minds,
he said.
We had no idea. If we'd known, we'd have talked them out of it.
Then Aunt Nancy called, then neighbors, then people from their church. Everyone was horrified. Grandma Helen was livid. I raised 5 kids, she said. Never once did it cross my mind to send them a bill. What are they even thinking? That's not parenting, that's some kind of scam. But the real hit was to my parents' social life. They'd been going to the same church for 20 years. Mom sang in the choir, Dad helped with repairs and organized fundraisers. Their whole social world was wrapped up in that place. And it collapsed overnight. People who had invited them to birthday parties and church holidays stopped saying hello. Mom was quietly asked to leave the church book club. Dad was removed from the church board. And then there was the money. Their lawyer had taken a $7,000 retainer for a case he lost at the very first hearing. Add court costs, add my attorney fees. Jason billed them the full amount, every hour. They didn't have that kind of money lying around. All their savings had already gone into the down payment for Kayla's condo. You can guess what happened next. 3 months later, Jason called.
You won't believe this,
he said.
Try me.
Your parents had to sell Kayla's condo.
What? They couldn't keep up with the mortgage without your money, he said. They listed it on Craigslist and basically gave it away. They needed cash fast. I had the strangest feeling, half grim satisfaction, half pity. Kayla had lost the condo of her dreams. That part really wasn't her fault. She got crushed under my parents' insanity. Where is she living now? I asked. Last I heard, she and Connor are renting a small one-bedroom on the outskirts. He's not thrilled. I pictured Kayla picking out paint colors, scrolling through furniture websites, planning her perfect life in that condo. And then, nothing. Back to a cheap rental. In a way, I didn't feel that sorry for her. She was completely fine with me paying her mortgage forever, so no, I didn't exactly sob for her. Months went by. I went back to my normal routine. Work, home, saving. I even found a great 2-bedroom in a new building and started talking to the bank about a loan. Half a year after the trial, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined. Something made me swipe. Hello? Aaron, it's Mom. I went rigid. What do you want? We need to talk. My heart jumped. For a split second, I thought, maybe they're going to apologize. I don't have anything to say to you, I said. Please, just listen. Let's meet and talk. Maybe we can forget all this foolishness and make peace. Make peace, I repeated. You dragged me to court and demanded $250,000. That was a mistake, she said quickly. We lost our heads. We were emotional. It was stupid. A mistake? I said. You hired a lawyer. You filed a complaint. You dragged me to court. I know, she said. But we're still family, Aaron. We have to get past this. Family. I sat down on the couch. You want to talk about family? I asked. Where was family when I was studying and working 2 jobs just to feed and clothe myself? Where was family when I was bouncing between crappy rentals? Where was family when I was counting every cent to build some kind of safety net? We were always there for you, she said automatically. No, I said. You were always there for Kayla. Only Kayla. I was the independent one who didn't need help, remember? That's not true, she said weakly. It is, and you know it, I said. And now that your golden girl lost her condo, suddenly you want to reconcile. Silence. Aaron, please, Mom said finally. Can't we just forget everything? No, I said. You showed me exactly who you are and what I mean to you. I'm not going to pretend nothing happened. But we're your parents, she said. You can't just cut us out. Parents don't sue their kids, I said. Parents don't call their daughter an old maid who doesn't need a home. Parents don't demand that one child sacrifice everything for another. We made mistakes, she whispered. These aren't mistakes, Mom, I said. This is who you are. You've always been like this. I just finally stopped closing my eyes. So you don't want to know us anymore, she said flatly. I looked around my apartment, my quiet, peaceful space. No screaming, no guilt, no constant pressure to throw myself on the altar of family. I liked this life. It looks that way, I said. I hung up. She never called again. 2 months later, I signed the contract on my own place. It's beautiful. Hardwood floors, big windows with a downtown Chicago view, a dream kitchen with a breakfast bar. Everything I'd been imagining all those years while I hoarded every dollar. My down payment was exactly the amount I'd been saving all along. The same money my parents had tried to rip out of my hands for Kayla's mortgage. I spent it on my future, my home. I'm 33 now, still single, still focused on my career. Maybe my dad was right. Maybe I'll end up an old maid. But if
Old maid comes with my own condo downtown and 0 toxic relatives in my daily life? I'll take it. I have my home, my life, my choice. No one can force me to finance someone else's dreams or shame me for finally putting myself first. Sometimes I think about Kayla and wonder if she ever realized what our parents dragged her into. Instead of a free condo funded by me, she got a broken family and a tiny 1-bedroom rental on the edge of town. But that's not my problem anymore. The most important thing I learned: sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from people who don't value you, even if they're your family. So what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.